Well, it's been a little while since I did one of these. So, in my last Bleach review, which was well over a month ago, I said that I planned on finishing the anime before the end of June or by early July, and then read through Thousand Year Blood War. But after getting about halfway through the I want to say third arc of the Arrancar saga. It's the one when they're fighting all the, like, fodder former Espada. I think it was specifically when Uryu was fighting, what the hell was her name? Like, Saruchi or something? The moth one. I was like, you know what? This is taking way too long, so I'm just going to read the manga for the rest of it. And I'm glad I did that, for a number of reasons. So, I did do a review for the Hueco Mundo sneak entry arc, but after listening over on what I had said, something didn't sit right with me, and I didn't really like it. So I figured, whatever, I'm just going to go over some of it when I do my Hueco Mundo review. So instead of doing like all these 10-episode anime arcs, I just have the entirety of Hueco Mundo. And I'm going to try and do an arc review each week. I'm going to set like an actual schedule for myself so I don't go another month and a half without doing a review. So I guess I'll go over a little bit of stuff. I'll kind of go over like the entirety of the Hueco Mundo arc, a little bit with the stuff I had already gone over in my previous video, and then everything that I haven't gone over. So this is going to be a little more organized, which is funny considering I've just been rambling for the past 2 minutes. I'm going to go over the stuff that I liked about this arc, and then the stuff that I didn't like too much about this arc. So, the first thing I liked a lot were the fights. Obviously, this is a battle manga, and that's kind of like what I'm here for. And I'd say for the most part, they did not disappoint. Probably my favorite fights out of this arc would have to be, probably Kampachi versus Noitara, and Ichigo versus Grimmjow. But there were a lot of other good ones. Rukia versus Aranyuro was really good for Rukia's character development. So that was nice to see. And all of the other characters basically got to show off what they had learned. Except for Renji. Renji hadn't really learned much, but I guess he hadn't really had like a chance to show off his Bankai that much, so he got that. But we got to see more from Uryu. We got to see the upgrade of his Quincy Cross and that, like, lightsaber thing that they can do, which was cool. And we got Chad's El Diablo thing. He unlocked his other arm and unlocked the true power of his right arm, which was pretty awesome. I quite liked the aesthetic of the Arrancar. It feels... It's like the white of the Captains of the Gote 13, but it's a different vibe. I'm not sure what it is. I guess it's like kind of futuristic, I guess. Not so much like the traditional Japanese stuff that they have with the Shinigami, but the sort of like slicker design of the Espada is something that I really like. And I really like the new costumes for Aizen, Gin, and Kaname. Those are pretty great. Another great thing about this arc is you get to see, basically, I would say, the fan favorite, or, well, in this case, some of my favorite captains just sort of doing their thing. You had Mayuri versus Ailaporo, Byakuya versus Omari, and of course, Kampachi versus Noitara. These three were pretty much standouts in Soul Society. So I was really looking forward to seeing them do more stuff, especially, well, actually, not really any one of them in particular, because they all had very different fighting styles. I found the way that Mayuri's Shikai and Bankai work, and the way his whole, like, mad scientist shtick plays into his fighting style, and how he seems to have, like, some sort of device or concoction prepared for any situation. You of course have some Zakura with Byakuya, which is gotta be like one of the coolest Zanpakuto. I mean, in really any series where you have someone whose ability is like cherry petals or sakura petals. It's just like, who would have ever thought that flower petals would be so fucking cool? And then, of course, Kampachi is Kampachi. I mean, like, is there really anything else you have to say about Kampachi doing his thing? The last thing I should go over, and I should make note, I haven't gone over very many positives, but the thing is, it's like, there's not really too much to this arc. It's mostly fighting, which I don't have, like, really much of an issue with. Like, that's what I'm here for. I understand that's what Kubo was here for. So, the last thing is, with some of the new characters, I really like Nell, for various reasons. I would say that her whole deal being, like, a former Espada, and the whole issues with her, like, not being able to maintain herself in an adult form, which has a slew of jokes waiting to be made about it, considering that in her adult form she's probably one of the most attractive characters of the series. I just overall thought that she was a really good addition to the story, especially, I would say especially with her relationship with Noitara, because it gives him a lot more complexity as a character, which he wouldn't really have otherwise, because beyond his whole thing with Nell, there's not too much to Noitara. Which is where I'll start getting into some of the negatives, is that with the Arrancar, a lot of them feel like they're just kind of there for the protagonists to fight. With Soul Society, for the most part, almost everyone that was encountered ended up being fleshed out later on, which I understand was because, you know, they're the good guys, quote-unquote. They're the Shinigami, so it was always planned for them to be around later, most likely. So they got a lot more going for them than the Arrancar did. But the issue with the Arrancar is that there's, like, nothing there for most of them. The only real sort of thing they have going for them is, like, this one defining trait. So you had that one guy that was, like, the Spanish dancing guy, or the Afro guy, or that lady with the moth wings that Pesci kept trying to get an upskirt of, which is another thing I'll get into. It's just, like, most of the Arrancar and the Espada were not that interesting. Like, Zomari had, like, no character. Aranjero didn't really have much going on. Most of the interesting stuff with Aranjero was just him pretending to be, Cayenne. Which did more for, like, Rukia. That was one of the better parts of the arc, was just, like, Rukia's struggle with, fighting Aranjero, which, that was, one of my favorite parts. And then, with, other ones like Xylaporo and Noitara had more going on for them, and of course Grimmjow was good. But a lot of the arc was basically spent fighting these, like, fodder enemies that were just kind of there to kill time, and so that we wouldn't immediately be fighting the Espada. Except for Rukia, apparently. And Renji, actually. Which I guess would make sense, because they're, like, the actual Shinigami, but whatever. I didn't care at all for Nell's companions. I thought they were kind of annoying most of the time, to be honest, especially when I was watching the anime. I guess they were there for, like, comedic value, and I understood that they had story importance later on, but, like, they can have story importance without being obnoxious. So I really didn't care for them at all. Let's see. This is more of, like, a minor complaint, but Hueco Mundo is not very interesting. And when I say that, I mean, like, it's kind of bland to look at. At least with Soul Society, you had, like, the whole Japanese aesthetic and, like, all the houses and stuff, and you had all these various different environments. In Hueco Mundo, you have this nighttime desert, you have the castle interior, and you have the interior of the castle with these big red pillars and a fake sky. There's not very much to Hueco Mundo, and it's not very interesting. It feels kind of lifeless and bland, to be honest. So yeah, that's really it, I guess. It's weird, I figured I'd have more stuff to say after not being here for like a month and a half, but whatever, I guess. Next week, I think I'll be doing Turn Back the Pendulum. I plan on doing these all in chronological order. I'm not sure if I'm going to do Deicide as a separate thing or as part of Fake Karakura. I'll probably decide that. Well, obviously I'm going to decide that within the next 2 weeks, but I'll probably decide that by the time I come out with my review for Turn Back the Pendulum. So, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I will be doing reviews for all of the Bleach arcs in the future. And if you enjoy having discussions with people about Bleach, I recently created a new Discord server, and you can discuss the series on there with other people as well. You can also discuss the other series that I cover on this channel, which includes Record of Ragnarok, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and Kengan Omega. So if you're interested in those series, you should check out my channel, and also consider joining my Discord if you want to discuss it with other people. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.